The key turned in my front door at 8:12 on a Tuesday morning. No knock, no ring, just the quiet click of metal doing what it had no right to do. I was halfway through my first cup of coffee when the sound reached me across the kitchen. For a moment, I thought it might be the home health aide arriving early for Mom, but the footsteps that followed were too brisk, too certain. Then she appeared in the doorway between the hall and the living room. Mid-50s, khaki slacks pressed sharp enough to cut paper, navy blazer, hair lacquered into a perfect silver helmet. Clipboard in one hand, phone already raised in the other. "Mr. Harlan," she announced, eyes sweeping the room like she was pricing it for auction. "Emergency Compliance Inspection, Article 7, Ridgewood Estates Charter." I set my mug down slow. "You're in my house. Section 12C overrides privacy in exigent circumstances," she said, snapping a picture of Mom's antique floor lamp. Multiple reports of unapproved modifications. Another flash. The curtains. Another. The family photos on the mantel. Garage door color is outside the approved palette. I let the silence stretch. 30 years wearing a badge teaches you that people who love rules hate quiet more than argument. She mistook it for surrender and kept moving, heels ticking across my hardwood like a metronome counting down her own mistakes. She didn't know the quiet man in the faded Texas Rangers t-shirt was James Harlan, sheriff of Caldwell County, on extended leave after a back injury. She saw an unemployed divorce living with his elderly mother and figured I'd fold the way half the block already had. I reached for the small leather-filled notebook on the counter, the one I'd carried through 2 decades of shift reports, and wrote 06-04-0812 HRS. Unauthorized entry, female, 50s, HOA President ID, claims emergency authority. Then I drew a single check mark beside the line. She wanted the kitchen next. I let her go. She photographed the toaster, the blinds, the potted basil on the windowsill, narrating violations to herself like a tour guide in a museum of petty tyranny. When she started down the hall toward Mom's room, I stepped in front of the door. "That area's off limits. Bedrooms are included in safety sweeps." She reached past me for the knob. "Not today." She scribbled something, refusal to comply, and marched out, heels striking tile like hammer blows. The front door shut behind her with a finality she thought was victory. I opened the drawer, slid out the black USB drive from the hidden camera system I'd installed after the last break-in on the block 10 years ago. 15 minutes of high-definition evidence. I smiled into my cold coffee. Chapter 1 was in the can. By noon, the Ridgewood app pinged like an angry hornet. Mandatory exterior photo submission, 24 hours. I screen-captured every alert, every countdown timer, every thread of escalating fines. That night, I drove the neighborhood slow. Orange stakes with QR codes had sprouted in a dozen yards like plastic weeds. At lot 42, I caught Evelyn Grant, HOA president, clipboard general, lecturing a young mother while her toddler wailed in the stroller. Dashcam rolling. Next morning, another notice slid under the door. Unapproved vegetation. Remove roses within 48 hours. Attached was a grainy photo of Mom's prize climbers, the ones she and Dad planted the year I graduated high school. I stared at the pink blooms until the edges blurred. Then I wrote in the notebook. 06-11. Targeted harassment, sentimental property. Checkmark number 2. The app got worse. A new 24-hour compliance dashboard appeared, public shaming baked right in. Mom's hands shook as she read 8 violations aloud. Window tint, appliance color, door hardware. All inside the house. All photographed by someone who'd stood in our hallway without invitation. I built folders on my laptop, notifications, screenshots, tampering. Every ping, every timestamp. Probable cause in neat subdirectories. At 11:48 p.m., the motion sensor chirped. Trailcam infrared caught a figure in a blazer, snapping a picture of my truck from the street. I mounted 2 more cameras before sunrise. Checkmark 3. 3 days later, I found the fresh red curb paint, still tacky under my boot. Public Works had no record of the job. The kid at Caldwell Hardware remembered a woman buying 2 cans of glossy enamel, cash, no loyalty card, 2 nights earlier. Trailcam nailed her at 2:17 a.m., kneeling with a brush like an artist signing her crime. Checkmark 4. The newsletter hit every porch on Friday. Blurred photo of our house, bar graph screaming 300% violation spike in Sector 7. Neighbors who used to wave now studied their shoes. Mom stopped eating. Checkmark 5. That night Laura Mitchell knocked, eyes darting like a deer on the highway. She pressed a micro recorder into my palm. She did it to the Garcias, the Patels, the Youngs. Always starts with safety, ends with fear. The recording was pure venom. Fear gets faster results than reason. Checkmark 6. Saturday afternoon, Evelyn returned with Walter Price, vice chair, and nervous shadow. They used a master key again. I was on the porch pretending to read the paper. The lock turned. They walked in like they owned the deed. Scheduled safety verification, Evelyn declared, waving a document still damp from the printer. I raised my phone. You're being recorded. Leave. Walter hesitated. Evelyn photographed the kitchen, the hallway, reached for Mom's bedroom door. I blocked her. Remove your hand. She smirked. Read your charter, Mr. Harlan. From the bedroom came a gasp, then another. Mom clutched her chest, inhaler trembling. I shoved past them both. By the time the paramedics arrived, Mom's color was ash. Lead medic Diane cut through Evelyn's excuses with a look that could freeze coffee. Out. Now. You're interfering with patient care. Diane pulled me aside while they loaded the stretcher. That kind of stress on an elderly heart? That's abuse. File it. I stepped into the driveway, badge case in my left hand, cuffs in my right. Evelyn Grant, you're under arrest for unlawful entry, harassment, and elder abuse. Her mouth opened, closed. You're on leave. Leave doesn't end the oath. Deputy Rodriguez arrived in under 4 minutes. Evelyn tried one last card, my old corruption investigation from 15 years back. I let her swing. Funny thing, I said to the growing crowd. That case convicted a contractor who stole county funds. MS. Grant was the HOA rep who signed the fake invoices. DA gave her immunity for testimony. She learned the wrong lesson. Walter went pale. Neighbors murmured. Rodriguez finished the Miranda. The cuffs clicked like a period at the end of a very long sentence. The story broke wide the next morning. Front page, above the fold. By noon the board resigned en masse. Master keys were melted down on live TV. 5 neighboring HOAs adopted our new consent rules within a month. 6 months later Mom moved to a senior village with garden plots and no covenants. I kept the house, repainted the hallway soft wheat, left the trail cams running out of habit more than fear. At the first Ridgewood barbecue the new president handed me a plaque, Community Guardian. I hung it over the mantel where Evelyn once photographed our family. Some nights I still sit on the porch with coffee gone cold, listening to kids ride bikes past curfew, sprinklers hissing, a dog barking 2 streets over. Ordinary sounds. Honest sounds. The little wooden sign someone nailed to the oak by the mailbox says it plain. Home means safe, not supervised. I touch the letters sometimes and smile. Justice isn't always sirens and cuffs. Sometimes it's just the street remembering how to breathe. What about you? Ever watched someone twist rules into weapons? Ever stood up when staying quiet would have been easier? Drop your story in the comments. I read every one. And if you've got a neighbor still painting curbs red, tag a friend who needs to hear this. Let's keep the conversation going.